Ready? Hey, welcome to another episode of the Black Guy Who Tells podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Aaron.
And we are live on a Walking Dead Wednesday. Y'all know how we do. We love to represent, we love to tell y'all that y'all should check us out, and y'all do. And I mean, y'all wanted this, so we're
Let's
very
get it,
happy
people
to give it to you,
Yeah,
I guess without further ado, you know what we're gonna do. Recap the Walking Dead. All right. This is episode 19 of season 11. We only got 5 to go. It's directed by Karen Gaviola. It's called Variant. And there was some big surprises in this episode a year ago. Karen, what do you think about this episode in general before we get into the breakdown?
This episode was really good. I enjoyed it a lot, and I know we talk about it later on, but the way it ended, I was like, oh, they get ready to actually, like, this is the end. We actually, we ain't holding no shit back. Like, let's get into everything and all the things that we have been building up to this moment. It's gonna be interesting because, like I said, me and you read the comics, so it's gonna be interesting the difference between this and the comics.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it was very surprising, a pleasant surprise, a welcome surprise. I've always made jokes about something I would want to see in The Walking Dead that I thought, they should have done, which is, I always felt like they should have taken, like, just an episode where, like, some wild, crazy shit happened, like aliens or time travel. I know Robert Kirkman said he would never do that, but I just think once it got to the point where people were starting to be like, I don't know, man, is this just gonna go on forever? I think that's when you hit them with a twist that no one sees coming,
right?
And it blows everybody's minds. It's just like a character has superpowers, or someone gets bit and they just don't die. Like, I think rules are made to be broken, and I was glad that we got to see some broken rules this episode, and it was a genuine surprise. And let's go ahead and break it down. So this episode is called Variant. I broke it down into two pieces. It's so Hornsby and the Commonwealth is the one piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that happened in there, because last time we were there, Sebastian had just been killed by a zombie, and Max and Eugene are on the run. And so we have everything that happens there. I'm going to talk about that second because it's long and there's lots of moving parts to that. Then there's what I like to call On the Road. Now, we had Aaron, Jerry, Lydia, and Elijah go on the road with some supplies to bring back to the communities, Alexandria, Hilltop, Oceanside. And I thought it was a little weird, when they said they were going to do that last week, mostly because it felt like, everyone had just gotten together. We hadn't even seen Lydia and Elijah interact with the rest of the group. They were coming off the road, going right back on the road. And I said to myself, like, what's so important? Like, don't you want all your characters in the Commonwealth so they can kind of like do something? But after this storyline, I see why they had to put somebody on the road, because they wanted to like show us this huge change.
Yes. Yeah. And there's also, when you see, you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because when shit hit the fan, they don't have to deal with that. They're not a part of that. Like, they can just go on.
But I'm saying, if they were there, they would be just as good helping in the Commonwealth.
Yes.
But for the story's sake, I think, like, it struck me as odd that, like, okay, because you know what else it was? It felt like, well, the Commonwealth thing isn't really over.
No.
And so only 4 of our group going back home, rushing off, kind of. It just felt a little weird. They hadn't really brought up like how bad they needed some supplies back home before that, to be like, listen, we really need to get. It don't matter if only 4 of us can go. We just got to get supplies back to Alexandria. Like, so it felt a little like the priority of going back and just those 4 people without Carol or Daryl or anybody without the kids, it made me feel like, oh, that's kind of a weird, like, it just felt weird. It wasn't like bad writing or anything. It just felt weird. Now I know, like, oh, it was for the purpose of the end of the show to be like, we want to show y'all some new shit, and we got to have somebody go out here and fuck around with some zombies, or y'all ain't gonna never find out.
True. Yes, that's true. And also, I don't know how long they had been there, but I can kind of understand what you're saying, because like these communities have needed help for a while.
Yeah, and it's not like they foreshadowed it where like during the previous 2 or 3 episodes we've been watching where they were like, man, we just really need to get the supplies back to Alexandria.
Okay, like emphasizing
like
on
everybody
it,
was really just concentrating on should we stay here or not. It wasn't really a, you know, man, we got to help everybody out, you know?
Right.
All right, so Elijah and Lydia are walking behind the cart with Aaron and Jerry kind of like steering the carriage with a horse and stuff. And they're holding all the supplies and whatever. And Elijah and Lydia are making eyes at each other and giggling. Like it's very like, you know, puppy love-ish.
Yeah, high schoolish.
Yeah, vibes. And they are younger, you know. But they end up stopping because they see a herd of walkers crossing the road ahead of them. And they're like, should we even like go down this path? Because, you know, you got these motherfucking walkers down here and who knows what kind of shit, you know, like we can just wait it out. And so Jerry says, yeah, let's make camp. Let that herd walk on by. It doesn't see us. It's not coming this way. Let those walkers kind of disperse and we can just like start a fire. I can make my Jerry Alfredo.
Yeah, and we could just keep going, like, you know, because his thing also, like, we have a whole ass buggy with fucking horses trying, like, if we walk it, we're fine, but trying to get this buggy to go on this uneven road like that.
No. Jerry was saying, let's stop.
Yes.
Like, right. Like, it was Aaron who was like, let's keep going. You said Jerry was like, let's keep going. It was Aaron.
No. I understand Jerry's perspective. Right. Like for his perspective, it's like, oh yeah, we can just chill. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no reason to like rush and you know, cause us to get an attack, because it's a limited amount of us. We don't got unlimited ammo. We don't got the whole crew with us.
Right.
So it's not like we have a contingency plan if something terribly goes wrong.
And it's just walkers, which is like rain at this point.
Right.
And Jerry was being so patient and so positive this episode. Mm-hmm. Like, I love that he was in this episode because I feel like we don't get enough Jerry a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And we didn't get any Nabila and the kids this week. But, you know, Jerry's whole demeanor was like, you know, like it always is, like,
let's make
happy-go-lucky
the situation.
Yeah, let's right. So Aaron is the one who's just got a stick up his ass, like, nah, man, fuck that. We need to get back as soon as possible. We'll just go off-road. And they're like, if you go off-road with the carriage, it's uneven. We could get stuck. You know, like, it's, you know, we don't, like, it's just, why not wait? Aaron's like, no, we just really need to get the hilltop and Oceanside, the supplies, because they're in bad shape and we don't have any time to spare. Once again, I don't know if later on they will go and give Aaron like a motivation for why he was so pressed, but I don't know why he was so pressed.
The only reason why I could think of was to get there and get back to his daughter.
Get back to Gracie, but I feel like that should have been said this episode at some point. Yeah. Or if not, maybe they're saving it for next week. But it needed to be said.
Right, because
it seemed like he had an ulterior motive.
Yes, he was all out of character.
Right. I did not like that shit. So, and plus he's a white dude. I don't care if he's gay. You bossing everybody around. Everybody there is like brown or a woman. Calm down, white man.
And they're looking like, dog, like this, what you're doing makes no sense. Why are we still trying to move forward?
So, as the herd of walkers walks across the street or whatever, one walker we see before they cut the like commercial or cut away stops mid stride and seems to look in their direction as Aaron and them go off the road. Like it seemed like it was aware, and I said, "Oh no, Whisperers are back."
Yes, because I was like, because truth be told, I was like, no way they killed all of them.
Well, it was oh no on two levels for me, because it was like, man, haven't we done Whisperers already? Like, why? Like, it's too late to be trying to put these motherfuckers back in the mix. What, the governor gonna show up next? Next, we over that. But also it was like, who would this person be?
Right.
Who were they offshoots of the last whispers and stuff? So, but it made me, but at the same time, it wasn't really overt enough to know that it was a whisper. Like, it could have just been a coincidence. Like, oh, a bird fell over there.
We know how they do the convenient zombie.
Right.
Yes.
So then they pushing the fucking carriage because it gets stuck, of course, just like Jerry said it would.
Right.
Aaron is just being a slave driver, like, push it, we can make it anyway.
We got this. Come on, team.
Yeah, Elijah's like, we can just leave it behind. It's in the middle of the woods. We can get a group and come back later and get all the supplies. And he's like, no, we got to do it tonight. And as they push it, Jerry just fucks his knee up.
Yep, I think it rolls over, don't it?
It seemed like, so, okay, this was something I think for the TV show, they just had to do it this way. But it seemed like it rolled over his foot. But then when they said what the injury was, it was like a cut to his knee.
Yeah, okay, so I thought it was his foot too. Because I was like, the way it rolled, I was like, oh shit, his foot fucked up.
Yeah, I thought he caught that Nick Chubb. I was like, I don't know how they getting this nigga home. Like, I said, oh, he must have dislocated the knee after it got stuck in under the wheel. I said, oh, they don't have no, they got to go back to the Commonwealth to find that type of doctoring. But they said it was just like a cut on his knee. I don't see how he got the cut on him, but whatever. That's what they needed the injury to be, and it's fine. Also, I didn't want Jerry to have a super serious injury.
Me either.
It's cool. So he hurt his knee, like, when you go to a Megan Thee Stallion concert and you just forget that your knees can't go like that.
Child, no, they can't.
So Aaron spots a place in the distance that has walls, and he's like, oh, we can hold up there. It's a pretty nice place. And what I kept thinking is, so y'all end up having to fucking sit out overnight anyway.
So you might as well have stayed where you was going to be.
All that damn rushing, you could have just sat there, ate Jerry's Alfredo, and y'all would have been home faster than this shit.
Right.
But it is a nice place. It has walls, and it is one of those places that, for me, immediately makes me go, how the fuck is this place abandoned? What happened?
What happened? And who may come back?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's too nice. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, why are they having an open house special? It's not locked. They were able to walk in. But so they get there. Jerry bandages up his knee. Elijah starts making a fire. Lydia comes over to help him with the fire. They get out close to the face, like Lady and the Champ when they were eating that spaghetti. And he goes in for a kiss to try to swirl it up. And she pulls away. And my assumption is it's the guilt from Henry dying that's still eating her up inside.
Yep.
She did talk to Carol about this last week, and I guess that one conversation wasn't enough to get over. Carol's like, girl, you better get you that BBC. And she was like, I don't think so.
Life too short.
And Aaron notices this, by the way, while he's talking to Jerry. Jerry, meanwhile, is looking around at this place. He's like, this is a nice place.
Yes, he's like, wow. Left this place like this.
It's amazing open house. He was like, you got places to grow gardens, you got walls, you got buildings. It's in great shape. This could be a Kingdom 2.0.
Right.
But Aaron's not even listening.
He is zoned out.
I think I couldn't tell exactly what he was doing, but I think he was trying to make Jerry a crutch. Which, you the reason my knee is fucked up. You making me a crutch. How you gonna get an attitude with me for trying to have a positive? I'm the one with the positive patient attitude, because this is why I said I love Jerry. Because if he had been anybody but Jerry,
oh, that wouldn't have went well.
They would have been sitting there like, my knee is fucked up because your ass couldn't wait. Now we stuck out here in the middle of nowhere, and we gotta wait overnight anyway, and it's gonna take longer than one night for my fucking knee to heal. Who you think you getting a motherfucking attitude with?
Who you think you talking to like that?
But Jerry's the one that'll be like, hey, dude, you all right? He's such a cool guy. But so then Jerry drops the subject, and Aaron is like, frustrated that he can't make the crutch right. Then he's like, it's gonna be dark soon. I'll take the first watch so you can rest. And Lydia comes over and she's like, yeah, I'll watch with you. And so later on during their watch, during the night, Lydia talks to Aaron about the guilt that she feels, trying to move on from Henry. Aaron talks about his marriage to Eric.
Yep.
And this is one of the reasons I actually like this episode. We got some good exposition on our characters' backgrounds. And not just this scene, but more. And so he talks about when he said, I used to be married. Well, not legally. And I thought about it, right? Because, one way to go not legally is like, oh, you mean in the zombie apocalypse, it's not a real marriage? No. I think what we got to remember is that the zombie apocalypse in the Walking Dead universe happens before Obama.
Yep.
It happens before Obama's second term,
ago,
where marriage equality becomes law. So literally, not legally, because it didn't happen
right
in this universe, which is so wild to think about. I know they have a different president and stuff,
right?
But it's just interesting to think about the timing.
Agreed.
So he's like, yeah, it wasn't legal, but he gives this beautiful speech about how Eric asked him out, and he kept saying no at first, and then eventually he went out with him, and then they got together, and then the Z-Pac, they were working together in Alexandria. They were scouts. Y'all remember when we first met them?
That's how they met the crew.
Yeah, they would go out and scout other communities and bring them in. And so he talks about how Eric died, and now all he thinks about every day is if he could have took even one of those times that he said no early on back, he'd at least have an extra day with Eric. So he regrets those no's, and he's like, look, don't, this the zombie apocalypse, girl. If you see somebody you think you could be happy with, you need to move on that shit right away.
Right, because you're not needing nobody. None of us are promised tomorrow. And it's also one of those things where, it's going to be woulda, coulda, shoulda, because, he lost him years ago.
And also, even Eugene, they swiping right on Eugene. Like, it's like, you got to do what you got to do right now. Everybody ain't got time. It's all beggars, no choosers. Okay?
Right?
So while they're talking, we see a zombie hand reach up and grab the top of a fence in the distance. Once again, what the fuck?
Right. How, Sway?
I'm like, whisperers are back. Why? So at night by the fire, Lydia and Aaron, who are keeping watch while, Elijah and Jerry are supposed to be sleeping, they hear some noises in the background, and I listened the second time especially. The noises you hear are literally like a fence gate being opened. It's not a like clang clang, like other times when you hear zombies break in, it's like, oh, enough of them piled up at a wall, the wall fell down.
Yeah, it's a lot more noisy.
This shit was like, like clank.
Yeah, that was like that's the wind. And they was like, wait a minute, that shit is not the wind. The fuck is this?
And well, of course they weren't worried about it because he's like, that can't be what we think it is because we triple checked every lock. The doors aren't just closed, they are locked. So
yeah, we
know Walker could get in here.
Right. Like this doesn't make sense.
But they hear more noise, so he says maybe we should just do one more sweep because it could be humans that are sneaking in or something. But at the same time, you're like, why would humans make all that fucking noise
to let y'all know they were there?
Yeah, they like if you're a human and you're trying to like catch these people slipping, you're gonna sneak up on them. But I was thinking like maybe it's the people returning or something because it's
true too.
It's a nice community.
Place. Yeah.
Turns out it actually was walkers. They start fighting a ton of walkers.
They start pointing.
Yeah, it like they were fighting like a herd of walkers. And like the numbers started to overwhelm them. And they have to get Jerry and Elijah up. Lydia goes and spears one of the zombies. The zombie grabs her spear.
Yes.
It doesn't yank it from her, but it like holds it with one of his arms. She takes a knife out, stabs it in the shoulder, like heart area.
And then it didn't say ow, ouch, nothing. I was like, man, that person is strong as shit.
Because with the whisperers, that was one of the ways you could tell they were whisperers, right? Like, you cut a whisperer, they start yelling because it hurts because they're human.
Yes.
And a lot of times the other walkers will turn on the whisperer and start eating it. Like, hey man, you not one of us.
You don't belong here.
But no, that's not, like, it took the stab to the heart and just kept like struggle walking towards them. So then Jerry got off in this scene. He had a sword. I don't know if it's Zeke's old sword or what, but he pulled out this sword and he got his last samurai shit off. He was fucking them zombies up.
It was beautifully shot.
A beautiful shot. Great choreography. And of course, he was representing for the Wash crew because he got one bad knee. Shout out to old man strength.
Right.
They go inside of the building now because the zombies is too many. And while they close the door behind them, when they close the door, Jerry's looking at the door. He starts noticing the goddamn doorknob is turning.
It started jiggling. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Why is the doorknob jiggling?
So he has to push himself against the door, but he like talking to Aaron like, when the fuck did Walker start turning doorknobs? So they have to get to the roof of this structure. And there's like a table and you can kind of climb up and lift yourself up. And so first the kids go, Lydia and Elijah. And then Aaron says, Jerry, is your leg good? He said, good enough. And he jumped his ass up there.
Good enough.
While Aaron was like holding himself against the door and shit. So, I did appreciate, because I felt like Aaron was the reason Jerry was in that situation. And I felt like if he would have made Jerry sacrifice himself, I don't think I would have never forgiven his ass.
Right.
So yeah. I'm glad Aaron was the one to be like, I'll hold the door. Yeah. You go up.
Right. So if he would have went down, I was like, okay, that's understandable because you're the one that got them in the situation. I mean, I didn't want him to go, but if something was to happen, right, I would be like, okay, valid, because you're the reason why they're in the situation in the first place. The
other thing I liked about the way they shot this scene, and it's such a little thing, but I feel like years ago they would have really tried to emphasize on like Jerry's size and trying to get him pulled up with a bad knee, and then they would have emphasized on like Aaron having one hand and how hard is it for him to get pulled up to the roof. They just basically cut through all that.
Yes, let's go.
We don't need all that, for one, but then two, it's like not really, it's just stretching. It will be stretching the episode out.
Yes, sir.
They're gonna get to the roof, guys. So they get to the roof. Jerry is on the roof, but he's washed. He's like, listen, my knee hurting. I need to just sit down. Let me catch my breath for a little bit.
I need to take 5.
You know? And Aaron's like, once they're on the roof, they realize in the back is kind of a clearing. And Elijah and Lydia are like, we can jump down there. And Aaron's like, yeah, we can jump. Oh, wait, no, Jerry's leg. And Jerry's like, I can do it. And they're like, no, you can't. Mm-mm. Your knee is fucked up. You're not jumping down there. And he tells them, Elijah and Lydia, you jump down there.
Y'all got them good knees.
Yeah, with your young knees.
Come on, young knees.
Your whippersnappers. Y'all jump down there. You're going to hop right back up.
Yeah, you is. You're going to roll it off like ain't nothing.
So he's like, jump down there, flank the zombies. And then I'll go down the front way and fight them from this angle. Basically, we'll kill the zombies. While they're discussing this, the same zombie that was stabbed through the fucking shoulder.
They took one to the shoulder.
It climbs to the roof.
Nigga, it climbs. I was like, how this nigga climbing? And it was quiet as shit too.
It climbed to the roof behind Jerry where Jerry couldn't see it over the corner. And it was getting close, and then Jerry notices it, but his knees fucked up. His sword is sitting next to him, but like not, on him. Mm-hmm. And he just calls out to Aaron like, bro, I need some help. Aaron turns around and was like, fucking whisperers. I'm sick of y'all motherfucking.
It was a rock in there. Did Aaron pick up the rock or did the zombie pick up the rock?
The zombie picked up the rock.
That's what I thought. Okay. I want to.
The zombie picked up the fucking rock. Yes,
that's very important because not only did the clown there picked up a rock and started going at Jerry.
Yeah, and so, Aaron ends up fighting this zombie, and it's a fight. It's not a like, the normal like stab it in the head. Like this shit is like swinging back and shit. Like punch you, I'll punch you.
You want to fight? I got you a fight.
And as he's hitting it, he's hitting it like when a black parrot beats a child. It's like,
oh no,
I told you not to, that kind of. But he was like, fucking Whisperer's tired of this shit. He goes, rips the mask off the Whisperer. The mask comes off. Underneath is a skull.
It is a skull.
Because it's not a person. It's not a fucking Whisperer. It's not a real person. Unless it's like a new version of like the super duper Whisperers where they cut their own face off and put a zombie face, stitch it to their face. I don't
think that's happening.
Like the face came off, I think, because it's a zombie and it's just loose and skin is ugly.
Yeah, right.
Like you probably could rip the face off of most zombies at this point.
Yes.
But oh my fucking God, it was not a person.
Nobody. It looked like Red Skull.
Yes, it did look like the Red Skull. And I kept waiting for the shit to be like, to talk almost.
Yes.
Like, get the fuck off me, bitch, or something. It was like, oh my God, this is scary as shit since the Whisper. Like, Whisperers are one of those things where in the comic books, it was like, oh yeah, the Whisperers, okay, just a new group. But then when I saw it in live action, I was like, oh, that's the scariest shit in my life I've ever seen in my life.
Right, because seeing it in live action, you go, oh yeah, I could understand why you would really freak out. Right,
you would absolutely get killed by one.
Yes.
And very easily because they look like the easy to kill zombies until these motherfuckers right up on you and they stab, shanking you. And you like, I noticed like when they killed Jesus, like Jesus is one of the baddest motherfuckers on the show, but it was like the one thing no one's anticipating is a sentient fucking zombie.
Right.
So they killed a zombie and Jerry's like, when did Walker start climbing roofs and using like rocks and shit? And so in the morning, they killed all the walkers. I guess the rest of them weren't like that or something. So they kill all the walkers in the morning. And Aaron tells Jerry he heard rumors of walkers that could open doors and climb walls and stuff, but he always just dismissed it as rumors.
Right. And this, like I said, go back in the history books with him and his husband out there. Guarantee you they crossed enough people and people probably had told them, hey, we done seen zombies do this, or hey, we done, and they was like, they kind of brushed it off. But that would make sense. Like it probably doesn't happen that often. But the people that say that they've seen it, people be like, oh yeah, right, you crazy. Because he basically was like, yeah, we've heard of them going back to like remembering their homes and shit like that. But we've
and that, speaking of which, season 1,
yes,
Morgan's wife returning to the front door. Now you have to reframe that 11 seasons later. Oh shit, she was a variant,
Yes.
Now who knows how often these things occur, because this will only be like probably our second time seeing one. But also because of evolution or whatever, it's been survival, at this point over 20 years in the zombie apocalypse.
Correct.
Whether the virus is mutating, whether the zombies themselves are evolving or whatever, I could see a scenario where this is happening more often. And plus, of course, just as a TV show, you would want like to add a new element to the show, like so. But yeah, it was so interesting what happened,
and it's gonna be wild trying to explain that to people. Go, hey y'all, like we seen some shit. This ain't normal. Like, be aware. And if you stab one and it don't say ouch or it don't go down, you better run.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for these like employee of the week ass zombies.
Right.
These motherfuckers out here trying to get an extra credit, climbing fences and shit. Using stones. And then Aaron, then Lydia goes over and kisses Elijah. Because now that they almost died last night and zombies is fucking picking up sticks and shit, she's like, fuck it, I might as well get some dick. Aaron brings up,
we almost died.
Aaron, you find out Aaron was listening to Jerry when he said this place could be the Kingdom 2.0. Because he was like, it could be. And Jerry says, yeah, imagine that, man. King Ezekiel back in the throne. And Aaron said, no, I'm thinking King Jerry.
Right.
Because and Jerry says King Jerry and Queen Nabila. And I said, yes, my queen, let's go. Yeah. I want this to happen. Only spin off our watch.
And it makes sense because I could tell I think right now it'd be very, very hard to get Ezekiel to lead like that again. Like I don't think he ever wants to do that again.
He seems very hell-bent on helping the Commonwealth reform.
Mm-hmm. And so...
And yes, I'm sorry. And to piggyback on what you're saying, I agree. He also doesn't seem like he would even want the mantle of leadership.
Right. And so it'd be one of those things where he probably would even encourage him. Jerry, why don't you do it? Like you have the temperament for it. You're actually a great leader. People love you and they will follow you. Like I could see Ezekiel, encouraging him and getting him set up and just be like, all right, I'm going back to where I came from. I'm not staying here with you guys.
Yep. All right. Before we move into the next segment, the Commonwealth, let me play some music so I know where to put commercials, because these are the hardest ones to put commercials in. All right. The Commonwealth. Let's go to the Commonwealth, y'all.
Okay, let's do this.
Let's go to the wealth. So we started the show with another montage. This time it's Eugene centric. Last week it was Daryl centric. So I guess we're just doing a different person every week now. It's his whole past, and we cut all the way back to when like Eugene was like first came up and Abraham was lying about having a cure.
Voice.
Yeah, all that stuff. It's the same voice of that woman's voice from the future, or girl's voice from the future, that I think is Judith, but we'll see. So then we cut to now, and it's right after Sebastian's been killed by a zombie in the Commonwealth, and Eugene is running around after Max was attacked, but Max ghosted him. I don't know how she did that shit, but he looked up, she was gone. And in true TV trope fashion, he goes and grabs a woman from behind that looks like her.
Yes.
He's like, Maxine, we got to get out of here. And it turned around and was like, I'm just a woman dressed exactly like Maxine, wearing the same clothes.
Damn it.
And when she turned around, she said, it's you. You killed Sebastian. So I owe Karen an apology. I was wrong last episode. I was so sure that Maxine saved herself from Sebastian, but what really happened, looking at the replay, Eugene bumped into the zombie that was grabbing Maxine. And it didn't even look like he truly meant to do it.
Purpose.
But because of course
it was not on purpose.
Because of course Eugene couldn't do no cool shit.
Yeah,
he literally tripped into the zombie like, oh, excuse me.
He was like, my bad, and then the zombie was like, oh, food.
Right. Pardon my feet or whatever. And he just bumped the zombie and it killed Sebastian.
Yes, that's because I was like, but the thing is, because it happened so quickly, I was like, oh yeah, I could see it literally happen anyway. But when I seen it, I was like, yeah, looked like he was like, oh, come here, woman, and poof. And
it's also an extreme stretch that the woman turned around and said he killed Sebastian. They need this for the TV show and the drama, and
yes, they
so
do.
That we have a compelling reason to want stakes. But nigga, get the fuck out of here. Nobody that watched that would be thinking to themselves, oh my god, he killed Sebastian on purpose. You would be like, look at this goofy motherfucker. If anything, you look at him and be like, I know he didn't do that on purpose. Look at him. Anyway.
Right? Everybody just stood around and watched him get bit up anyway.
Right. Daryl takes Eugene inside and hides him. And Eugene is like, but I lost Max. And he's like, man, we don't have time for that shit right now. Just
right.
Come on.
Don't nobody care about that. Come on.
In the morgue, Pamela doesn't allow Mercer to stop Sebastian from crying. I mean, from turning. Because, he got killed by a zombie, and you normally just stab somebody through the head or whatever to keep him from turning to a zombie. But she's just looking at him, and he's dead, but he's not reanimated yet. And when he pulls out his knife, she's like, no, don't do it. I got to mourn my baby. How do I say? Like, no.
I knew you wouldn't shit, but I loved you anyway.
That's basically what she said.
Our family wouldn't shit. We ain't never been shit, but we can rule. We ruling the place.
You a piece of shit. You always were. Like, it was the worst eulogy ever. Like, you
What
don't
it
want your
do?
mama to say this about you. She's
No,
like,
you don't.
Look, family is complicated. Okay, he's a piece of shit. But then she turns to Mercer and basically offers him an ultimatum. Look, we know your sister did this shit. You know, family complicated. The same way I'm disappointed in my son, I'm disappointed in your sister. I don't know if it's these new friends she been hanging around, whatever, but she lost her way. But we can still save this. You can save your sister. Bring me Eugene. We'll pin the whole thing on Eugene. And Max don't have to die because essentially she's committed treason, which is, of course, penalized by death. And Mercer is low-key with it. Because Mercer kind of still, as crooked as this shit is, Mercer believes in the rules. And I don't mean rules as in the rules being just, but just these are the rules.
Yeah,
and
I must follow them.
He don't want his sister to die. So, you know, because I look at Mercer as a dude, and then we'll get to this later in the episode, but when you look at Mercer as a fixture in this community, you're like, why aren't you just the leader?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got the loyal men, the military, the respect of the community. You're always trying to do the right thing. Why are you letting these corrupt people at the top run it? But once again, message, you know, this is the show talking about capitalism and governments and societies. Mm-hmm. People think that shit all the time about, you know, our government and our politicians and the people that do their bidding and shit. And it's like, why don't y'all just take this bitch over? You're a better person than they are.
Message.
But then so she offers him this ultimatum, like, look, if you want your sister to be fine, go get Eugene so I can kill him. Mercer's men round up like all the people from, I think they said Alexandria, Hilltop, and Riverside or Riverbend. Mm-hmm. I don't remember Riverbend. I don't know if that's just like a thing they just, or maybe, that's where Negan and them were at. Probably. Yes. Who we don't see this episode. We don't see Negan or his wife. But we do see Princess, who we haven't seen in a while.
Yes, I have been asking about her ever since we came back. I was like, she's been gone. Like, where is she?
And the Commonwealth done did her some good. She was looking good this episode, I think. I mean, not that she was looking bad before, but it's like, yeah. You know, I think when we first met her and she had the jacket and was acting all wild and shit. But like, she like, you know how it is where like, you could just tell somebody been just like drinking water and doing yoga and shit. She looked like that. Like, why'd y'all get me out my? I was in there doing Noom and fucking
right.
What's the other one they do? The Calm app. I was doing the Calm app. Why y'all coming in my house? And we know she has like an apartment, I think, in the same building as like Mercer or some shit. And they were dating for a while. Yeah. Although, what were you gonna say?
That's it. Yeah, they ended up breaking up. And a lot of it has to do with Mercer's walls. Like, she actually desired more, and every time she tried to get deep, he just throw that wall up, and she was like, got time for this.
So, yeah, she don't want to play them games.
She's like, bitch, I'm grown.
She was another one that we got so much great background on this episode. Oh, my God. Like, great acting from the actress and delivery, great writing, and it's one of those moments that explains a character, and you can go back and look at all their actions before that, and you're like, oh, you make so much more sense now than before I knew this information about you. So they round everybody up and they start questioning them and all this shit. And we see them take Princess, Zeke, and Rosita out of their homes. In the interrogation room, we only see Rosita get questioned, which is another smart choice. Because normally when they do this, they do a montage of everybody getting questioned and ask the same thing.
No need to.
Yeah, and especially because we know our group, they're not going to fold. So, like, they don't have no weak links in the group that's going to be like, actually, Eugene is over by the outhouse. Like, waste of time to show us that shit anyway.
I agree.
So, you could get it all from this Rosita scene. And basically, in the interrogation room, Mercer's like Rosita, and he treated her like a stranger.
Like a suspect.
He was reading her file.
He was like, this is your Miranda rights.
He was like, Rosita Espinoza, 123 Cherry Street, unmarried, one daughter, Zakara Espinoza.
She's like, we really doing this?
Right. He's like, do you verify this information? She's like, nigga, are you acting like you don't know me? He was like, do you verify the information? She's like, so you just gonna be professional? That's what this is? Do you verify the information? She's like, yeah. And she's like, he's like, where were you during when Sebastian got killed? She was like, I was in the east corner of the such and such. And he was like, no, you were with Eugene. Witnesses say they saw you with Eugene. She was like, yeah, 30 minutes before Sebastian got killed. He's like, what were you talking about? And she was like, your sister. And how your sister want to overthrow the motherfucking government because she a terrorist, nigga. How about that?
Right? Like, I don't know.
Since you want to talk.
Right.
Since we strangers. And he's like, you know where Eugene is? And she was like, no, I don't. And he was like, well, it's all right, because I know where he will be. Eventually, he's going to find his way to y'all because y'all his friends. And he was right. I said, Mercer is smart. Like, all you got to do is watch them because they're going to try to protect them. And if you watch them long enough, you can find Eugene.
Yes, you can.
But he tells her information that I think he wants her to give to Eugene. I think that's really what this scene is about, because he's like, Eugene need to turn himself in because they'll probably go easy on him. And this will be best for everybody. Y'all can go home and everything else can go back to normal. But someone has to pay. And this is the easiest way for him not to basically get killed. Now, what I'm thinking is, oh no. Because I am kind of rooting for Mercer to be a good person here. But I feel like he said that, like how police, when they talk to you, they can lie to you. It's legal for them to lie to you to get you to confess to something. Mm-hmm. It felt like, oh, this is a lie he's telling because he knows Eugene has to die.
Of course.
Pamela is not of the mind of like, well, he cooperated and they don't have a connection like her and Hornsby or her son or like she's very much like, I'm gonna make an example of this person. And I didn't feel like example was banishment or 10 days in jail. It was, we're going to kill this motherfucker. So when he told Rosita that, I said, oh, he's lying to her. So that promise of I'm gonna help y'all get out of here and I respect you even if you don't respect me in this moment, I said, oh, he's just a fucking cop. Mm-hmm. And it made me mad because I'll be rooting for him. And I want him to break out of the mental control. Okay.
All right.
And then also, like, if you know that y'all are capable of lying to find a way to kill Eugene, why do you think your sister's safe?
I do not know, because I think that's why he did it, trying to quote unquote protect his sister, but she's not safe either, because she get a hold of her, she gonna be like, bitch, you betrayed me too.
Pamela has way more reason to want to kill Max, even just because Pamela knows the real truth. Right. Eugene didn't have shit to do with that recording other than playing it.
Correct.
Only Maxine could have betrayed Sebastian in that way.
And right, because nobody else could have did a recording like that.
So I don't even know why if you really want to protect your sister, you need to get Pamela out of power and like go down. Like you need to support whatever this revolution is. Like, nope, you don't get to be in charge. That's crazy.
My hypothesis is that he eventually will.
I hope so. Rosita goes to the church that Gabe and mm-hmm. Gabe's church. She goes to the church. That's where they're hiding Eugene. Daryl is in there protecting Eugene. They're planning to leave at dawn to go back to escape. Eugene is like, I need to know where Max is. And they're like, calm your horses, dog. She want to stay. And also, like, you still need to get the fuck out of here. You can't really do shit to save her.
Right.
And he's like, I apologize for putting y'all in a bad situation. And Daryl's like, don't apologize. Sebastian had it coming.
Yeah, he was like, he went shit.
Yeah. And he was like, don't worry. I know the security patrols.
Because Daryl used to work too.
So we can escape when the security shift changes. And then Eugene tries to get all heroic. He's like, at the risk of sounding ungrateful for all your efforts on my behalf, I can't leave without my beloved. I need to go find her. She showed me her movies, and I like them too. Like, and I don't blame him.
It felt like sand.
Listen, what's he gonna go back to jacking off? No, buddy, you gotta go risk it all. Save your woman. And they're like, nah, man, that's crazy.
Right. We
gotta
can't let you
leave.
do that.
She'll, these are her people and she don't want to leave anyway. And he's like, well, be that as it may, I cannot. I will not leave without her. At the very least, ascertain her safety. And Rosita's like, calm down, nigga. I'll go see if Maxine is safe.
Make a deal so you can stop wilding out in here.
But you stay in the church. So back in the morgue, Pamela is still, sitting with her baby. And she's like, she's talking to his corpse, talking about how she wasn't a good mom, but he wasn't a good son. And in death,
life is complicated.
Yeah, in death, maybe we stop disappointing each other. And she's in there by herself now. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Sebastian actually starts turning into a zombie because convenient zombie timing.
Of course.
She tells a guard to take care of that and then leaves. I thought, oh, you mean kill the zombie?
Agreed.
Because she did, a lot of times people don't have the power to kill the zombie because it's their loved one and all this other shit. Mm-hmm. Princess comes into Mercer's office after she's been questioned. And she questions him in front of his men. Like, she questions the authority. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Right, because she a real G. She was like, I don't give a fuck about this. Me and you having this conversation, nigga, let's talk.
Right. So she's mad she was interrogated.
Right.
And then, y'all pulled me out my crib. What the fuck is going on? And he's like, listen, I can't be seen treating you any different from the others. Because, we know that they dated or fucked or whatever, and we know he likes her.
Right.
But in his capacity as a lawman or whatever the fuck, he don't want to seem like he's playing favorites. So you got to get questioned because everyone else got questioned. Mm-hmm. And she says, you know what? Cut the bullshit. Because if you catch Eugene, you're going to kill him.
Right. She was like, you act like I don't know what's going to happen. Like, she's mad. She wants blood and she is going to kill him.
Right. Pamela's going to kill Eugene if she catches him. And Mercer's like, and she looks at Mercer and says, and you're not going to do anything to stop it. Like, what's wrong with you? Eugene is a good person. When I was out there in the wild, I went crazy. Basically, I had set up zombie mannequins and shit. Had a rocket launcher. I was wilding the fuck out of that big machine gun. And she was like, Eugene was the only person that saw me and didn't judge me.
He didn't.
And like,
yeah, because everybody was like, we can leave her. He was like, nope.
Right.
He with the bikes and everything, through all that. He was like, we can't do that, y'all.
Such a great call.
Let's do the right thing.
Shout out to Angela Kang. Mm-hmm. She doing it like because it's good to have things matter again on the show.
Yes.
And to have like a real history that's not just a kind of a one-off and then a character does something much later and you're like, oh, well, didn't they learn anything from the first time? Right. I like that reference to why Princess would be the one to tell Mercer, Eugene is a good man. What are you doing?
Right.
And this is what Princess not even being involved in. She didn't see anything.
She's
she
really
just is
not
like,
involved.
I know his character. I don't know nothing about the Sebastian shit. I didn't see the zombie shit. I just know if you kill Eugene, you killing somebody that's a good person. Why?
Right.
And then she's like, he didn't even know what was going to happen. And you're killing Eugene. Mm-hmm. Mercer says, well, Eugene will get a trial. She says, but will it be a fair trial?
Come on, ask the real questions.
Because we know they must put on sham trials because clearly the thing with Hornsby's is going to be some type of unfair trial. Mm-hmm. Like even the way she was on some like, I'm going to let you live, but I'm not going to, like, you ain't going to be able to live here. We'll have a trial, which means, so you've already decided the sentence. So and she's like, if you play it right, you get to live, which means if you go in, what I took that to mean was if they do a trial for Hornsby and he goes in there blabbing about all the secrets and all the shit he's done for that family, they're going to definitely kill him. Mm-hmm. But if he plays the game right, shuts his mouth, accepts responsibility, pleads guilty or whatever, well, we'll exile you, but we're not going to kill you.
Right.
So then Princess says, what is the point of a place like this if a good man is put to death? And just then a soldier burst in and says, we got a lead on Maxine Mercer, which is wow. That's her brother who's the leader. and you're saying her full government name. Like, you didn't say your sister, you didn't say Maxine Mercer. And it made me think that's how, quote unquote, professional and detached Mercer is pretending to be in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you can kind of see cracks in the veneer as he starts, like when he talks to other characters, you can see it.
Him thinking about the shit that they're saying, right?
But he's trying to play it as if I'm just a robot.
Ice cold.
So yeah, he's like, I gotta go. And Princess says, yeah, me too. Later that night, Maxine gets arrested, trying to make it to Rosita so she can escape.
Right, she found it. She's like, no girl, don't come this way.
The choreography was comical.
Yes, it was.
It was looking like Red Rover. So then, and she didn't even have a disguise. Like, girl, get a hoodie or something.
Right, she just tiptoeing around.
Take your glasses
around
off.
The neighborhood, change clothes,
touch your hair.
Shit.
I don't know. Take the wig off, support the natural.
Something.
You know, white people can't tell us apart.
No, they
don't
can't.
Know. In the interrogation room, Mercer, her brother, tries to get her to sign a confession that blames everything on her mental health, and she stopped taking her meds because that's how good they got it in the Commonwealth. You can get mental health meds.
You go to the therapy.
Like, you have mental health issues in Atlanta or Alexandria, you was just crazy. That's what happened. They was like, oh, kill this crazy person. Look at the flowers. But Commonwealth, they like, boy, you better take some Percocet.
They're like, child, here's my therapist. Y'all got more than one, child. We got multiple ones.
So yeah, they over there like, listen, what you need, Truvada? What you need?
Prep.
What you need? So then she refuses to sign the confession, and the confession also makes it seem like she doctored the recording. So it's trying to make it seem like the entire thing is fake.
Yes, and she looked at him and she was like, I said what I said. I'm not signing shit. I did it. I meant to do it. It wasn't no mistake. She even looked at him and be like, nigga, you know what I did it stood for? It don't make no sense. If I die, I die.
And what's interesting in this scene too is that she like, well, we'll get to the end. Well, I actually need to say that part for the end, but it's just interesting because she does believe this, as you just stated. And she refuses to throw Eugene under the bus. And she tells Mercer that, you know, Eugene saved me from Sebastian trying to kill me.
Right, because if I would have died, nobody would have gave a fuck.
And Mercer looks a little bit like shook, but also like resolute, like, well, this is still what needs to happen.
Right, because I don't think he knew that part.
He's like, I'm just trying to save you. And she guilt trips him because she brings up their father being in the military as a general, which makes sense because Commonwealth is your daddy was a general? You a general, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, she brings up your father, you know, our dad was a general. And he said, speak the truth no matter what the cost. And I think our dad would have liked Eugene and he would have been proud of him and what he did. And he would be ashamed of you. And I refuse to sign this shit. I'm not confessing.
Right. She's like, yeah, I did it.
Back in the church, Eugene and Daryl get into it.
This was funny as shit.
Eugene wants to go out and look for Max. First, he's looking out the window, and Daryl's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Are you trying to get caught? Yeah. This is stupid.
And he's like, I thought I could help by, you know, noticing the patrol numbers of the such and such. He was like, man, shut up and get out away from the window. And he's like, I need to go out here and find Max. And Daryl's standing in the way by the door. Mm-hmm. And Eugene says, you be wise to step aside. You be wise to step aside, Hoss.
He was speaking big shit. I was like, oh, word. You really trying to do this for Daryl? And you could tell he was scared to death the whole time.
And Daryl wasn't scared. Like, Daryl was looking like, I smell the bitch in you. What are you doing?
Right.
But I also thought it was just so funny because
see you trembling.
Yeah, I also thought it was just so funny because when he said that Hoss, I just started laughing.
Not the Hoss.
You be wise to step aside, Hoss. No need for this to get ugly. Daryl doesn't.
I just started putting his dukes up like this some 1920 boxing.
Yeah, he's like the Fighting Irish mascot.
Yes, he did.
And we know Daryl. Daryl fucking Dixon, like, he could dispatch Eugene in 1 second. But Daryl square looks him up, sizes him up, and actually moves out the way and says, go ahead. And what I thought was going to happen was he was going to say, go ahead, Eugene was gonna take a step past him. He was just gonna knock his ass out, tie him up or something. But he really just let him go. And Eugene started moving real slow, like
you actually gonna let me go?
Yeah, that's basically
like
what he
I didn't
said.
think this was gonna work. I thought you were gonna actually, like I said, knock me upside the head, wrestle me down or some shit. He really like a little kid when you were like, well, go ahead, go on outside. And they were like, word. They're like,
it was like a kid when they say I'm running away from home.
Yes.
It's like, well, go outside and you can run away from home. And they get like halfway up the street and they realize I don't know anything other than halfway up the street. I've never been this far from home before.
Never been this far from home.
I suddenly feel like coming back home.
Right. Where it's safe.
And Eugene sits back down and he's like, you know I wasn't going to do it because I'm a coward. And Daryl says, no, it's because you're smart. And Eugene talks about how he's always had to rely on others to survive, and he's had to lie to get what he wants. And, you know, he's asked Daryl, do you think people are born brave or do they become it? And Daryl says both.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah, because the thing about it is everybody gets scared, no matter who you are. That's what people better realize, that is how do you deal with it. And some people step up and some people don't. And some people step up at different times and other times than others. And then for some people, they go, no, this is truly who I am.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen all kinds in this show. Mm-hmm. Princess and Zeke talk about sneaking Eugene out. And then Zeke says, and she's like, then we can get Yumiko and we can all go back on the road together, because they were the ones that arrived at Alexandria together. Mm-hmm. And Zeke says, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, he
was meant that.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I meant I was staying. Like,
like, he is fully on board with reforming the Commonwealth. Mm-hmm. He's one of the people now. And Zeke asks, do you think Mercer is a good man? And she says she thinks so, but she's been wrong about men before. And she says, and maybe, and he, you know, maybe this time I deserve more than just the best of a bad situation. Because, you know, Commonwealth is a bad situation. Mm-hmm. And Zeke says, yeah, you do. Whatever you decide, I'm here if you need me. But he's not leaving. So
he is steadfast. That's why I was like, he said that before, and he said it again. I was like, oh no, Jerry, there's no way he's not gonna leave that place.
Pamela visits Hornsby in his cell. This is such a weird scene. Oh my God.
Yes, it's
so you know, she came in with her, like, you know, businesswoman suit on and shit, and he is literally on the ground on his knees with his hands behind him, tied up or chained up or whatever, in the cell. And she is standing over him, and it's giving Dom Sub vibes.
Yes, it did.
And of course she's mad as hell because he's instrumental in the plan that killed her son. Mm-hmm. And she knows, she was like, your people murdered 8 of our citizens that turned into zombies, and one of those zombies killed my son. It was your plan. And he's like, you gotta believe me, Pamela, I didn't know. I mean, I would never intend to. And he keeps stumbling over his words as she like looms over him. And he eventually says he didn't intend for Sebastian to get killed, but and he liked Sebastian and respected their family, which is why he helped Sebastian with his little side projects, which I guess were where those people kept getting missing. And and he said, I did that because he was your son. And she caresses his face, which is like the second time we've seen her do this.
Like a little kid.
She caresses his face, but almost like sensually, because it became sensual not because of the caress of his face, but he reacted to it like it was a sexual thing.
Yeah, I was like, had they been intimate at some period of time? Would not be surprising if they didn't show us that relationship. But I was like, oh, y'all must have been intimate. Y'all had to have some form of a sexual relationship at some period of time.
It felt like that, or maybe she just ties him up and beats him or something, and he's into that. I don't know. But it was very like given like fetish or something. And then she pinches his like nerves in his shoulder area, and he's like, you know, in pain, and he's like, it's the Alexandrians' fault. we should have never brought them in here. It's all been bad because, you know, they came. And she's like, well, how are we going to handle this situation? She puts her hand in his pants pocket while he's, you know, once again, on his knees in front of her. And I'm not, like, I hate to sound like, maybe this just is too much information and the kind of porn I've seen, but I was like, is she jacking him off?
That's what I thought. I was like, is she rubbing his dick? What is happening, AMC?
I was like, this is so weird.
I'm like, this is some strange ass porn we about to watch here. What is going on?
Especially since it was never no foreshadowing. Like, it wasn't like, you know, oh yeah, they do some freaky shit sometimes, and we've been hinting that Pamela might be a freak, you know. Oh, remember that one episode where they accidentally came into a bedroom and she had on leather chaps? Like, we don't have any foreshadowing that there's some weird sexual power play going.
Right.
So yeah, she was just like in his pants pocket, but it turns out she was looking for his coin. And it was that coin that he flips like Two-Face, where he decides people's fate, supposedly. And so she was like, how about we do it with like a little risk, and I'm gonna flip this coin, and if I win, you get to live. I mean, if you win, you get to live. He wins. Long story short, you know, they do all the, you know, they do all the like proper
the drama.
Yeah, like, oh well, what's gonna happen? But he wins. So after he wins, he thanks her. He's like, oh, thank you for giving me this other chance, for letting me live. I promise you, I'm going to serve your family well. I'm a changed man. I'm 100% at the Milton's disposal. Now, the thing you have to realize when you say, I'm at the Milton's disposal, what Milton's? Is just her now.
It's Milton. She's like,
she don't have.
Yeah, she's like the us no offspring.
Both her sons have died. Her husband has been passed.
Her dad is passed.
Right. Her legacy is old. Like, when for as big as Pamela is on family legacy, it's over.
Yeah, because her son never had any children or anything.
Like, this ain't a woman that is like, oh yeah, well it's all good. She's like, no, you ruined everything. So then, she says, she goes to leave, but she tells one of the guards to put zombie Sebastian in the cell with them, and the dude that we saw with that woman who killed those 8 people last episode, one of obviously one of Hornsby's underlings or spies.
So that mean they've been following them.
They know somehow. They know who they were. Maybe they'll get into that later, but they definitely knew who to kill. And he's killed. Like, he is dead. He's been shot through the head.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to the woman. She must have got away.
And I don't know. And it was recent.
Yes.
According to Pamela. And she says, feed Sebastian. They throw a knife in there with Hornsby and say, that body is still warm. Feed Sebastian this man's your spy's warm body. Now, on the one hand, I love the poetic license. I think it's like a real flex to be like, feed your underling to my dead zombie son, who I think is like chained up or whatever, but it's like, feed him before we start eating on your ass or whatever. But also, such a sloppy James Bond villain move. You gave the nigga a knife? And once again, I don't know how deep his hooks are in the people in the Commonwealth.
And she don't either.
Why are you not just killing him? Fuck a coin. Flip the coin. Oh, it said you could live. We killing you anyway.
Yep, because he's going to be a problem.
Yeah, you don't leave people like this alive. So this once again, Commonwealth people are soft. No matter how fucking dope they like, how cool their community seems to be, they ain't had enough hardships in a long time. Rick Grimes would have shot this man and not thought twice. Daryl Dixon would have shot this man.
They wanted to fuck him up when they was in the tunnel.
Yes.
He's like, the fuck we leaving him alive for? He is a problem.
I got a trial. Guilty.
You did the shit.
So then, so I just thought that was really sloppy. Princess is packing her bag to get the fuck out of the Commonwealth, but Mercer is standing outside in the hallway in his full orange armor.
Yeah, Princess was up there sitting up in my room. She was packing her shit up like, I got to go.
Yeah, I guess he was in the hallway. I saw you walking in the rain.
Yes, he did.
He was stalking, he was watching her. And he says, can we talk? And she's like, okay, this is awkward because you basically caught me trying to sneak out. And he says, please don't leave. And she's like, nah, I'm leaving. And he says, it's because of me. She says, yeah, no, maybe. She doesn't want to be there when Eugene dies. And he says, well, that's what I'm trying to stop from happening. And he's like, I'm doing everything I can. She said, but you're really not doing everything you can.
Right.
Like you could just like take these motherfuckers out of power, be like, no, they shouldn't be in power. That speech was right. That is how they feel about us. We need to reform a different type of governmental system other than this weird fiefdom where the Miltons continue to lead by birthright, like it's royalty or some shit. Like we don't have elections and shit. They just get to run the town all the time, and everybody has to like be allocated resources that aren't equal or merit based.
You can have a parade, and I can't even watch it.
Yeah, so she's like, nah, you're sitting here letting this be some bullshit. I don't want to be here when Eugene gets killed. And he says this place isn't perfect. I'm not perfect, but it could be a lot worse. She said, don't you ever say that to me. And she talks about her childhood where her mom married a dude that was like an evil stepfather with an evil stepson. They both acted like they were her boss when she was a kid, and they would talk down to her and shove her and all types of physical stuff. And eventually, and her mom would just sit there and act like it didn't happen. And so eventually she started acting out because, who the fuck are these guys? And mom, why aren't you standing up for me? But she was just happy to have a man. Okay. She listened to that Tyler Perry advice. And so she would act out, and then the stepfather and her stepbrother would tie her up, throw her in closets and shit. She would pee on herself because she'd be in the closet so long. Then they would take turns beating her. And she was like, and the whole time they were hitting me, they were saying stuff like, you got a roof over your head. It could be worse. It's not perfect here, but you don't have any, appreciation. So she's like, fuck that thinking. They were like, Juanita, it could be worse, than us beating you every day. And she said, because it could be better too, and it should be. This place is starting to look a lot like my stepdad. And if I just sit by and watch, that makes me my mom, and I'm not my mom. So I gotta go.
Right.
Because of what happened to me. When I see a man, I see a monster. I've been seeing them like that long before they were dying and coming back as actual monsters. But I know that's not you. I just want you to know that. And then she leaves. And I all the feels. I love this speech. Love this background for this character. Love the vulnerability. I love the way it hit Mercer like a punch, because we know this is a man that's fighting with his quote unquote duty and trying to keep some semblance of order, but also fighting with his conscience because he knows this shit is wrong.
Yes, he does.
And he actually does have the power to change it, but he's a person that hasn't been using his power to change shit. That shit was, oh man, like I said, I hate that so many people turned away from the show in that way, because like to me the show it's good. And I get it. I get why people turn away, but like moments like this, I'm just like, fuck, what a great scene, great acting. And then there's like the romantic tension part of it too, because it's almost felt like a rom-com in that the end of that second act, where it's like, you're never gonna choose me over your job. I'm leaving. And you're like, oh nigga, you got to quit your job. What you doing?
Yeah, choices have got to be made now.
But then we cut to Rosita and Daryl coming into the church, and they tell Eugene that Maxine has been captured, but we got to leave. Eugene says, I can't leave. I'm not going with y'all. And Eugene and Rosita have a long talk, and it's kind of emotional talk once again. And this one is about how like she's trying to convince him to go. He's like, what kind of man would I be if I just left the woman I love here to die? Yeah. She was like, a live man.
Right. And he basically, and it's a lot of what happened to Eugene had a lot to do with the flashbacks at the beginning of the episode. Because his thing was like, I've been running my whole life. I've been lying my whole life. Wasn't responsible for anything. You know, got one of my best friends killed fucking around and lying and shit like this. Like, no, I'm actually going to stand up and be accountable and responsible and not be the person that's always dependent on somebody else, and not be the person that flakes out, and not be the person to be scared and be bold. And he's, over the years, he's been being bold. Like, he built them bullets. Like you can tell over the years he's kind of grown, and this is years of him slowly growing. And also, I think with him meeting this woman and realizing, hey, I have something I actually love and something I want to protect, and I'm not actually so self-centered that I only think about myself and don't care how my actions impact others. I'm going to stay.
Yeah. And so he, I guess this is him becoming brave, you know,
in his own way.
Yeah. So he gives Rosita his charm, like turquoise charm necklace, to give to Coco one day, because you know he's her third daddy.
Yep.
And so he turns himself into Mercer's office and he confesses. He says, I made the recording of Sebastian. I caused Sebastian's death. And Mercer's like, and anything else? And he's like, and Maxine ain't have nothing to do with it. And Mercer is basically like, looks almost relieved, like, those are the three things I needed him to say so that I could keep my sister from getting killed. And I gotta say, the real MVP, Maxine, girl, take a fucking bow. Because she got that super wet gorilla grip, confess to a murder you didn't even commit. Pussy. She got that. I don't want that. Okay, that's that snapped, like, help me commit a murder
she
vagina.
Got that
I don't
good.
I'm scared of that. Whatever that is. Because that man was on his knees in there like, I did it, I confess. Take me to jail, lock me up, throw away the key. I said, what, nigga? What was how? Why not me?
He was serious too.
They giving death penalties out for this one,
he
Eugene.
Was like, I don't care.
All you did was press play on a fucking tape recorder. You gonna die for this? That she must put it on him. So then we get a quick montage of Maxine in the interrogation room, Eugene in his cell, Mercer looking off in the distance, you know, contemplating, I'm sure, the soul of his own soul. And then Rosita looking at Eugene's necklace, packing it up with the things so she can give it to Coco. She's like, y'all ready to leave? She turns around. The kids are not in the room, and two thugs jump her.
This was wild. I didn't see this coming. But before you go into that,
okay,
I actually love this quick montage, because this right here is shit. We'd have had an extra 5 minutes of them, a minute and a half of them going, but nope, just go through. We know that words have been said, things have been exchanged, and let's kind of hop between this.
Yes. And so she gets jumped, and then they don't kill her. They throw a bag over her head, which means she's probably getting kidnapped. And we'll find out, I'm sure, when we come back for the next episode. But there's two things about this for me. One, whose men are these?
Right.
Because it's hard to believe they're Hornsby's people, because Pamela seems to have taken out some of Hornsby's people. And to me, I feel like that was a sign that she's probably neutralized his thorns, you know, when she brought in that dead dude. We didn't see the woman, so it's possible other people are out there on the run or whatever. But, like, I don't see how this move would help Hornsby.
Right.
Really, necessarily. I mean, it could. I can see some machinations where, like, hey, we kidnapped your children. Y'all got to kill Pamela, or we going to kill your kids. Like, it could work that way, but it just seems like, how would Hornsby even be able to
coordinate
to do that with with this particular predicament of being in a cell and fucking feeding Sebastian his dead people's, like, It feel like he's so far out of power, maybe that won't be happening, but who knows? Who knows?
All right. It's a possibility, but it's a lower probability.
The other thing I'm thinking is, well, I guess it was three things. It might be Pamela people.
Making sure they don't get away.
Like her do dirt people. Like Mercer is her public facing. He's not really in on the corruption, but if the people at the top are corrupt, but not so overtly corrupt, he'll back their play because it's the keeping order, right? But when it comes to like, I just need some people dead or some shit, I feel like Pamela got
people to go missing.
Yeah. I feel like Pamela got some other motherfuckers that do dirt. I wonder if that's who they were. Could be some other mysterious third group we haven't been introduced to. But I'm thinking maybe these are Pamela's like black ops people. And then the last thing I thought, Miss fucking Steak. Why did you do that? They was about to go home and let y'all, you won. You were winning.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you got to go back to Rick's. You don't know who you fucking with, because it's one of those things where you literally should have let them leave, because once you start like fucking and they there and they look around and she's not there, they're gonna start looking for her. And particularly if this is like a coordinated effort where you're taking multiple people in the group.
Well, we see the preview where they're saying in like the next episode, like they took our kids, and you know, like I'm just like, whoever took their kids, what were you doing?
Yeah,
because these ain't the ones.
Because it's gonna be no mercy.
They're definitely going to kill you.
Yeah.
Even if it is Hornsby, where he's like, y'all need to do something for me before I give your kids back. Okay, and the second we get them back, you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
Also, our fucking kids might kill you. Judith might kill you.
I don't think they realize how gangster Judith is.
How do you not know? They've lived with y'all long enough for you to know their raps. The best thing that can happen for you as a Commonwealth is for them to leave.
Yes.
The entire reason that Pamela is on the ropes and her son dead is because these motherfuckers got let in the door and they just was like noticed a few things wrong. They weren't even like, let's actively overthrow this place. They were just like, oh man, this is happening. A plus B equals C. Let's get the fuck out of here. They just want to get home with their fucking supplies. I cannot believe this is such a huge ball drop for the Commonwealth. If Pamela's behind this shit, she signed her death warrant.
Yes. And it's also one of the things to where some of the people put like this, particularly with Carol, I could see Carol fucking her up, because Carol was like, we made a deal. I did not know this was gonna happen, and you went back on your deal, which is probably gonna really piss Carol off. And not only did you going back on your deal, okay, I understand you love your child, cool. But then you come over here fucking with us, people who had absolutely nothing to do with it. Oh, you're on my list now. You're on my list. Also,
the Commonwealth solved. Like, this isn't even all our people. They be running through y'all with like 3-4 people at a time doing little missions. They haven't actually organized. They haven't even, like, we don't even see some of the characters every week. No. If they really just sat down and organized, where they were like, listen, we starting a revolution. Let's get the people together. They already upset about the classism here. Let's go ahead and tear this caste system down, tear this whole motherfucker down. They could have done that at any point, but they were like, oh, y'all got ice cream and soap. That's cool. Oh, it's a caste system. We don't really want to stay here. But y'all be cool. And y'all were like, let's kidnap their kids. Well, now everybody got to fucking die. Congratulations. You signed your death warrant. So and also the other thing about this, Mercer won't back this play. I'm sorry. I would be shocked if Mercer finds out you kidnapped these people's kids and he's like, rules are rules. I feel like that's the kind of thing that he's like, oh no. Okay. So you're just an evil, corrupt, dirty bitch that fuck the laws, fuck traitors and all that. My sister was right. You can die.
Yeah. And also, all jokes aside, I can also see Negan and his people going, they did what? Okay. Like now the few members we have got to get involved in this shit. Well,
Mercer also has the cachet to be a leader, which is the one thing that the Commonwealth should be afraid of, is someone like activating Mercer in a way where he's like, I'll lead these people then.
Yes.
Because I think that's what I've been waiting on, is for him to just step up and be like, listen, I'm well respected. People know me in the community. People trust me to do the right things. I haven't actively been involved in any of the dirt. Mm-mm. And like, especially when he killed his own men, when he found out they were involved in that shit, that gives you this like, oh, he don't really play that. And so if they fuck around to a point where him and the Alexandrians like join the same team, I think you'll be looking at Mayor Mercer next week. But
yeah, him, and particularly with Yumiko, I could see it turning.
Yeah, she could be a leader.
Very ugly. Even if he don't quote unquote be the leader, like I could see her stepping up and be like, okay.
Because them people was listening to Yumiko 2 weeks ago or whatever.
Because Pamela was folding when them people was hollering, because they was like, bitch, we don't believe you, boo.
All right, well, that's it for our recap. Hope you guys are enjoying this and still listening and all that stuff. Ooh, this was a long one. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back with more Walking Dead Wednesdays next week. Until then, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your night. Thanks for listening.